I like to tell people that it's a dance pop dipped in opera. So if you were to take a small amount of opera and weave it through, almost like I'm sampling myself into a track, and utilize that to either create a thematic parallel or a vibe parallel or the complete opposite of what this story was about.
This is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, this is Kate Clover.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Hi, my name is Madeline Rose.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
It's Tim Howard here from Mike and the Mechanics.
Hello, I'm Amanda Lehman.
I'm Billy Harvey.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Casey Sampson from the band Twist Stop.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Mitchell.
Hey guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
You're listening to Almost Famous Magazine.
Come join us for this interview. Check it out, Almost Famous Magazine.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Hang from Almost Famous Magazine. I'm your host, Scott Saldinger, and thank you to everyone for joining us. The Hang is where we get to know musicians from around the world. We learn their stories and get to know who they are beyond the music. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and share. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back and joining us on these great stories. You can also, if you're one of those people who would prefer to take your podcast on the go, you can take The Hang with you anywhere you listen to your podcast. Now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. Check out where you get your podcasts. Today in The Hang, I'm super excited. We're going to welcome Cassandra. She's a powerhouse vocalist and John Lennon award-winning songwriter who's redefining the boundaries of pop with her signature fusion genre, Popera, which I can't wait to learn about. With a 4-octave range, I've gotten rid of as much glass as I possibly can around the house because if she goes there, I don't want broken windows. And a background that spans opera houses and symphony stages, she blends classical music precision with modern pop energy and a sound that pros call unlike anything they've ever heard. From her upcoming single, Prima Donna, to performances with the Nashville and Omaha Symphonies, Cassandra is a rising artist, bridging worlds and breaking every musical rule along the way. So, Cassandra, thanks so much for joining me. I can't wait to get to know you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott. I'm looking forward to speaking with you, and thank you for the beautiful intro as well.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be fun. We're gonna go way back in the time machine to those first moments when either music found you or you found music. Tell me about how that relationship with music started and got you to where you are today.
I think I started singing as soon as I was able to speak. And around the house, I would start trying to sing little melodies and tunes, even if I couldn't totally form the words yet. And I was really lucky when my mom was young. She had a beautiful voice, and though she never followed it, she's always kept that. And when she saw that I could actually stay in key, I could stay on the pitch, and I was enjoying it, she thought, okay, let's feed this. So the two of us shared music all throughout my childhood, and she was really my first vocal coach. And it wasn't until I was about 11 years old that she said, okay, you're old enough, there's a age timeline for when people should really start to take voice lessons. She said, okay, I think it's time, let's do this. So that's when I began singing, and it was my second vocal teacher around the time I was 12 years old that changed my life and helped me understand support and classical singing. And especially at that time, I was only singing classically, strictly classical music. Primarily because my parents, mostly my mom, had a very strong belief that when you get older, sing whatever you want. But when your chords are young and you are trying to build a foundation, learn how to sing with the best technique you can possibly find and protect yourself for longevity. So that's what I did. So I took, I guess, about a decade and only was singing classical music. And I did it all the way through high school. I did a little musical theater along the way. There's actually one floating pop song in the mix that I'm sure people will find out in the ether eventually. Maybe I'll remix it and bring it back. But I was singing classically and went actually to go sing for college as well. And I went to New England Conservatory and majored in opera. And that was the turning point for me when I started actually looking into pop music and writing. And I'm sure we'll get into that further. But it was that beginning journey of singing with my mom and having her focus on technique that brought me this foundation that then I've been able to expand upon.
So yeah, I'm super interested. I mean, well, let me take a step back. I think your mom's a very wise woman. I mean, definitely, learning what you needed to learn, training your vocal cords, training yourself before kind of jumping off the cliff into pop music was probably some of the best advice she could probably give you. But how did you decide, okay, I'm gonna start to move into some pop music here, but I'm gonna include opera and create a new genre? How did that come about?
I did an interesting process of releasing music through all of this. So, for any listeners that have heard my music before, they know it started almost in a country pop space. And that's because during the pandemic, I was living in Boston. I was going to school, and the pandemic hit, and my parents had actually just moved to North Florida, which I have to say the sunshine during COVID and being able to walk in the open outdoors was pretty nice. You could go to the beach, and you weren't really worried about getting COVID when you were the only one there. However, I had a lot of isolated time by myself to think. And it became really apparent that while I loved singing classically, there was something missing. I wanted something more, and it turned out that something more was songwriting. And so there was one friend that I had in Nashville. He actually used to play college baseball with my brother, but he's this awesome country singer-songwriter named Brian Ruby. You should totally check out what he's doing. He's amazing. And he said to me, listen, if you're really serious, I'll help you out. If you're just doing this for fun because everybody and their brothers seem to be starting to TikTok and making music, then, maybe not, but let's try it. And so we began writing on Zoom, and I would drive to Nashville, and I recorded my first EP, and it was country pop. And I loved it. And there was a period of time where I lived somewhere that was much more rural, and I enjoyed that. But through and through, I'm a city girl. I mean, I don't know. I think I was trying to fool myself, honestly. It wasn't gonna work. So I had to keep searching. And then I dropped a little bit of R&B. And there was another time I was competing for Miss America, and so my music really steered towards positivity and a gentle influence for younger kids. It wasn't until I graduated college and through this whole time had been releasing music that I said, okay, listen, I love releasing all this, but now I'm being faced with a choice. People keep saying you have this opera degree now, because I did finish school, go into the opera world, or you just go pop, go move to LA or New York, or go dive into that. And it kind of set me back because I wasn't ready to choose either, and yet I knew I had to. And that's when I realized I could just do both. That's really where it started. So I was doing my master's of music business online with Berkeley, and my whole thesis was about this concept. And so I was moving to Nashville, I was doing this master's, and I said, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to start doing something different. And there was no reference point. I haven't seen I've seen some people try to fuse the two, but not in the way that I envisioned it. And so I just got in the studio and started writing, recording, and being weird and silly and creating, and that's where the magic happened for this project.
So to someone who has no idea, how would you describe Popera? If they haven't heard your music, if you just met someone in an elevator, and I'm a Popera artist, what's your elevator speech for that? How do you describe it?
I like to tell people that it's a dance pop dipped in opera. So if you were to take a small amount of opera and weave it through, almost like I'm sampling myself into a track, and utilize that to either create a thematic parallel or a vibe parallel or the complete opposite of what this story was about, which we can talk about some of the songs that I've done that I really had a lot of fun flipping those storylines. But that's usually what I tell people is it's dance pop dipped in opera, and I'm using the themes of these old arias to find a modern day context for them.
So is that kind of your approach to writing it overall, is to have it more story led as opposed to typical kind of pop, just kind of, not necessarily a journey, but just words used to create some motion?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, the Prima Donna EP, so I'll be wrapping that January 9th and dropping the full EP that day. That whole project was really the experimentation and kind of the birth of this idea. And I think what it really is they're moments of how I feel as a person, as a woman, as a friend, as a daughter, a partner, whatever, as an artist. They're moments. There are times when I feel like the queen of every night and I feel fearless and unstoppable, or I feel like a prima donna. And there are times that I don't. That's very honest. So they're moments, and I think that's what's so special about opera is it's a character. All of these songs represent, I think we in our lives, we all try to take on different roles. We maybe are a different way with our friends than we are with our partner or we are with our parents, and hopefully we can try to find a way to gel that all together. But if I can pick up little moments of those and relate myself back to something that was written hundreds of years ago and find a correlation to my life now, I think that's pretty neat. So I try to pick that up into the songwriting.
Nice, nice. Well, let's do that. Let's talk about a few of your songs. So if I am watching this episode and I've not listened to your music before, I haven't heard you before, of the songs that you have that are released, walk me through a couple of them, right? Maybe the ones that you feel really are signature to this sound, that's kind of the appetizer to whet someone's appetite to get into your music.
Absolutely. I'll start with the first one. I think Queen of Every Night was one of the most life-changing songs for me. So we started with Der Hallorache, which is from this German aria for the Queen of the Night. She's, Mozart's Magic Flute. And it's a very iconic thing. If you haven't heard it before, go watch a car commercial, and they usually like to put opera somewhere in there. But we had this idea of, the Queen of the Night aria has nothing to do with female empowerment. It's a mother's rage toward her daughter, and it's very intense. And that was one thing that I have I'm not a mother. I don't plan to be for a very long time. I don't have that relationship rage to talk about. But what I did want to create is a song that felt empowering. And at the same time as this, I was on my way out of competing for Miss America, and there was sort of this queen element, this pageant queen thing that we hit along the way. And actually that song started, I sang the first lick, that very iconic, sang that obviously up an octave. And we got writing. And we wrote the entire song and sat on it. And a week later I got together with my producer and he went, "You hate it too, right?" I was like, "Oh, thank goodness, it's terrible. Oh my gosh, can we rewrite this song? It's so bad." It's so bad. And we scratched the entire project and started from scratch. And before it was like something about trying to be like the queen for one person treat me like a queen every night. And it just was way too sappy and not hard hitting enough. And so that one is a perfect example of, we just took this idea of Queen of the Night. Okay, what if it was Queen of Every Night? What if we told people that, you can feel as empowered as humanly possible every single day and own it? And actually in the process of writing that, I was recording it one day and my producer looked at me and said, "Are you comfortable actually singing these lyrics?" Because it's pretty in your face. I mean, it's talking about like a Land Rover's my chariot and I want the four seasons and I want a red carpet and a private jet and everything else. And I told him, there's a little part of me always that's worried, what if I seem like too much? What if it's too materialistic? Because I might have a glimmer of that for a moment, but it's not all of who I am. It's certainly not. And he told me, he was like, "Yeah, but people want to feel like that sometimes. People need that glimmer and they need something to hold on. So you have to present that to them. You have to stand up for them and be there." So that was kind of the creation of that, where I had to really step into the character. And I think through it, finding the understanding of what this project is, that was a perfect moment of it. But another that I think is a lot of fun is Carmen. So Carmen, we have the iconic habanera. And the character of Carmen, if people haven't seen the opera before, I mean, she is fearless and ruthless. She essentially sees a guy who's in love with another girl, falls in love with that guy, takes him totally off the rails, runs him around, takes him through town, makes him into like some burglar and all sorts of terrible things. And all of a sudden gets a little bit too bored, falls in love with the matador. The other guy finds out, they get in a big fight, and then he kills her. That's Carmen. It's very touching, and it's the sweetest love story of all time. It's really something else. So the
Shout out to
opera,
Carmen.
she's fantastic. It's so funny. Well, we looked at this and said, what if we did a hilariously accurate depiction of what that might look like today? I mean, the truth is, as the chorus says, I don't want your money, I don't want your love, I don't want your kids. I'm bored, I'm tired, you're expired, but also don't leave without a kiss. And that's so her way of doing it, where she'll just lure you in for a second, but then she's also gone, she's done. And we actually used the same melody. The thing is, honey, it's the same thing, but to the pop ear, it just sounds like a cool melody. And then all of a sudden that bridge comes in, and all of a sudden the opera it's fully there. I'm just singing the aria. And I think that was a really fun one. Just again, it's a character, it's a moment where maybe even a past version of myself might have felt that way. But from the creative, the musical creation standpoint, being able to see a legitimate context of one to the other, those exact same melodies could be used, was fascinating in the studio. That was really a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, I'm curious to who when you made the transition from opera to Popera, who have been some of your influences in your sound and your songwriting? And I'm curious because I have one in mind that I'm wondering pops up in there when you look at bringing kind of theater of this type into pop music. So give me a little list of those individuals who have had musical influence on your sound and this idea of Popera.
Yeah. Gaga has to be top of my list. I mean, the way that she presents avant-garde and nuance and pushes every single possibility and capability of artistic culture, I think, is amazing and inspiring. And as a trained vocalist herself, seeing how she utilizes that in her music. Even the very beginning of Alejandro is a segment of Chardas, which is it's this gorgeous, gorgeous musical moment. And most people probably just think it's they have no idea what it's from. But she's pulling from classical music. She's using that. So I have a lot of love and respect for her. I, growing up, listened to a lot of Ariana Grande and Christina Aguilera, and they certainly vocally are where I try to lean into. I also love Maren Morris. That's kind of a left field one, but works for me often. But having that range and that power, and I try to kind of flip between the two. Some of the newer music I'll have coming out on the EP leans into a little bit of the lighter, brighter vocal rather than that heavy belt. But I find it fascinating to pull from the creative and vocal experimentation of those artists.
Interesting. See, now when I think of Popera, and I've listened to some of your online stuff so far. Have you ever listened to Jim Steinman? You know who he is?
I know the name. I don't know that I've done my homework though there.
He was Meatloaf's collaborator. So when you think of Bat Out of Hell.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm thinking, like, wow, that's very theatrical pop. It's got that story thread through.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if I thought maybe that had a little impact on you.
Well, it's gonna have to now. But please, we'll have to message after this, and you'll have to tell me where to go.
I will send you.
I'll
send you some links on that. Yeah, I mean, Jim Steinman was really one of the greatest composers who brought in all of that theatrical sound and really created, used a symphony and used instrumentation. And those albums have this thread running through the songs and that story quality to it. So Meatloaf and Jim Steinman, put those on your upcoming playlist.
I will. Thank you.
You've done a lot of live performing. I'm curious, has there been one live performance, whether it was opera or Popera, that really stood out, that in that moment everything coalesced and you had that I got it moment, right? This is where I should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, especially in the time when I was living in Nashville, I've recently started doing a lot more work out here in LA. Um, but I was playing multiple shows around town and trying to build a bit of a fan base and some buzz. And I opened a show for Sunshine Scott, who I know you've interviewed before. And there's this moment where, especially opening for Sunshine, her act is so polished and so curated. I mean, she is an artist through and through. And I kind of had this moment of, did I do enough before the show? I try to keep the look of my act somewhat more traditional pop than full avant-garde. It's very purposeful, but I had a little insecure moment backstage of, should I have done more? Should I have pulled back out the opera wig? I don't know. And I'll never forget, I walked out on that stage and the room was very, very full. It was really exciting. And I open my mouth and I start singing Queen of Every Night. It's how I start my shows. And I heard somebody, as I start singing the opera part, go, "What?" from the crowd. And in my head, I'm like, oh no, it's going to be a long night. And the second that beat drops, and it's chair choreography for that entire song, and I drop into my chair, and the same person goes, "No way!" and just lost it. That was the moment where I went, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I am looking for, you've never seen it, you've never heard it, and now you're going to get it, and you didn't know you needed it. And that was almost verbatim what I heard from that person after the show, which was just, that is like, my cup is so full after that experience that, those are those little moments that help you work to the next one. But that was a big one. Yeah.
No, that's a great story. So you're in LA now. What prompted the move from Nashville to LA?
Yeah, so I am so unbelievably grateful for the people that I've gotten to become friends and have as mentors out here. To keep the story a little bit shorter, I went to this festival, not festival, I'm sorry. I went to this conference. It's the Taxi Music A&R Sync Licensing Conference. It happens once a year, just near the LAX airport, actually. I was there yesterday for their annual. But I, about 3 years ago, went to this panel, or I guess 2 years ago now, went to one of the panels, and there were a couple writers up front, and there were these two producers, and I, in my lovely delusion, was like, I'm going to try to get noticed by these people that work for, Christina Aguilera and Fergie, because they totally want to know about my stuff. So I put my little hand up, and I asked a question, and I went up and introduced myself after, and I couldn't believe it, but my now good friend and mentor, Ron Harris, looked at me and said, "Hey, I want to hear what you got. Just meet me in the lobby in 5 minutes and come play your song." And I had actually gotten, Queen of Every Night was the first song I had completed and released. I had gotten the master for it that morning. It still wasn't actually out there. And so I am running up the stairs. I'm like, I cannot give this man my crusty AirPods. I had to go find these. And so I'm like running to my room, trying to make it work. So I met him in the lobby and I played him my song. And as he tells it today, he's like, yeah, and I heard the opera thing. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Another opera singer who's gonna, try to sing pop. He said, he's like, and this beat dropped and your vocal comes in. And I'm like, what? And that was kind of the beginning of everything that has changed my life over the past few years, where we began working and he told me, hey, listen, I really think you got something. He asked me so many questions about my life, my goals, my ambition. How did I learn to do this? And said, well, listen, I'm going to send you a deck of tracks. I want to see if this is a fluke or if you can actually do some stuff. So I'm going to have you write 2-3 songs and send them to me in, a couple weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. So in the moment, I'm like, yeah, sure, sounds great. Thank you so much. This is an amazing opportunity. In my mind, I am losing it because I'm realizing that I leave the next day for my sister-in-law's wedding in Doha, or in India. So I'm going to be gone for over a week in India at this wedding, and I don't know if I'm going to have cell service, much less a recording studio. And I did what I had to. I was writing, flying in the plane over Doha. On the way there, I wrote one. On the way back, I wrote another. I recorded everything. I sent it to him, and within 10 minutes, he called me and said, get your parents on the phone. You're coming to LA. And that was it. And I cannot be more grateful. He's like, every moment of mentorship that he's given me has just been surrounded by like, protect your life, make sure that like you are good, and then make your music as dope as you can possibly make your music. You just go and grind and work, and has now connected me with songwriters and producers and friends here in LA that have really just, again, I say they, they fill my cup. It's just wonderful people that are so talented, so intensely talented and hardworking. It has invigorated me and lit a new fire. So I'm happy to be out here now.
That's a great story. That's a great story. So you went to music school, and then you got a master's in music business. I'm curious about this. You're obviously passionate about making music.
Yes.
But nowadays, all the other stuff that comes along with it, you've got to be a video producer. You got to be a content creator. You got to be all this other stuff that kind of circles around music to create the product, which becomes you. How do you feel about having to do all that stuff when it obviously your heart and soul is in music?
I have a love-hate relationship with it. On the days that I am exhausted and overwhelmed, it's certainly the latter. But I try to compartmentalize it, right? So I know that if I'm trying to make a video every single day, it'd be like doing a 365-day tour, because you're constantly on, you feel like you have to make content, and it's exhausting. But if I take 3 hours every Monday while I'm on my little walking pad and say, okay, I'm going to edit down all the clips that I need for the week, and in that, well, let's be real, I'm not on the walking pad for 3 hours, but in that 3 hours of work, and I'm definitely thinking about the fact that I am making the connection to the people that I'm trying to reach. And if I ever stop thinking about that, that's really when it does get overwhelming. And when I pause and bring myself back to, we're not in the age where you can go and play at 1,000,000 bars and it makes a difference. Nobody's following through from that anymore. And maybe they are when it's a larger live show, but I mean, social media is essentially a free platform of discovery. I get free, unlimited access to push as much content, conversation, anything I want toward what I do to try to help other people. I get frustrated when I feel like there are more people I want to impact and the reach isn't getting there. That's when it gets overwhelming, because I feel like I'm pouring my heart into this and it's not even reaching the people that I want it to reach. But I love those moments when you find somebody online that comments and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you existed. Oh, I cannot wait to hear about this. I just was talking to a friend. She was up at University of Rochester and was saying that some of the vocal students there were talking to her, and she's like, oh, I'm going to, at the time I was in Nashville, and she's like, oh, I'm going to Nashville. I'm going to go see my friend's show. She does this cool pop opera thing. And all the kids at Eastman are like, do you mean Cassandra? And never in my wildest dreams did I think, there's an audience. They didn't find out about me because I've ever done a show at Eastman. They found out about it because of TikTok and Instagram, and that's so beautiful. So again, it's a love-hate.
Have you ever been to the Eastman School of Music?
Funny enough, actually, I did high school in upstate New York, and every single area all-state choir thing happens in their hall, and I auditioned there too for school.
Okay, where in quote unquote upstate New York? Were you in New Paltz? Were you in upstate in Albany, or were you in Western New York?
I was right on that Pennsylvania border, smack in the middle in Binghamton, New York, for 7 years.
You were in Binghamton. Wow.
Binghamton for 7 years. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. See, because I grew up in Rochester and went to RIT and have friends who've gone to the Eastman School of Music. Yeah, I know the Eastman very, very well. It's actually with one I met Wynton Marsalis there once. That was like really cool back in the day. Yeah. So you should ask your friends if they're out at night having garbage plates at Nick Tahoe's and see what they say.
Have no doubt. I have no doubt. I've heard of that before, actually. So I used to play a lot of tennis tournaments up in the area back when I played a bunch, and it's beautiful, beautiful up there. Wow.
I used to pass through Binghamton all the time on my way to the Catskills and down in New York City.
Yeah.
So it's a new year. What is happening in the first half of the year for you? You've got this new EP. What else is going on?
So this new EP dropping, and then a few months after, or maybe just a couple months after that, I will actually be starting the next EP and dropping that with music video. I'll start with the first single, and then we'll roll out from there, which is so exciting. So I think what I'm most looking forward to is that this EP will come together for the Prima Donna EP. I'm so excited to just share it, perform it. I'm currently in the works of putting together some shows for the new year, which I cannot wait for. But the next cycle of songs, everything's getting bigger. The vocals are getting bigger. The edginess is getting fuller. I'm just over the moon, and I can't say too much about it right now, but I cannot wait to share it all because I've been holding on to this for a while. I'm getting married next year, so I've fronted all of my work for next year to be completed by this December. So it'll be, or I guess last December, but it's been a busy time, busy year.
When the next EP comes out, we'll have to do this again for sure.
Thank you.
One of the things and that I'm always curious about, and I'm not much of a bucket lister. I just go out and live life and do stuff. But if you had an opportunity to get in the studio for one day with one other artist to collaborate with, who would it be and why would it be that artist?
I have to say Gaga again. I think that knowing where I want my music to go sonically and knowing her background, my background, and our love for the unusual, I think that being influenced by her to push even farther, step even further out of my comfort zone, would just be life-changing. And I think we would just have a blast in the studio if I were able to really go off with the opera and bring her vocal and bring our songwriting together. I couldn't imagine anything more fun.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. If you are connected to Gaga, you know what to do.
Please.
Get this video in her hands and let's make something happen for Cassandra. As everyone who watches this is well aware, we are big proponents of purchasing artist music. There will be links down below, so you'll be able to buy her and support Cassandra's efforts. But we believe that really you've got to support your artists, whether it's merch, whether it's paying for a ticket to a show, whether it's, buying music or buying it for a friend, make it a gift because you really love it. Support your artists. So all of that's going to be below. With that said, it's always interesting. And this could be really interesting given that you are, you got opera here and you got pop over here. Who knows what's in the middle? Who are a few artists that when you're not making your own music, you just love listening to, whether it's on that that walking pad, treadmill, at the gym, out on a walk, just to relax? Who are some of the artists that you really enjoy listening to, and why? If we were just sitting here having a beer, right, or having a cocktail or a glass of wine, and you're like, Scott, you've got to hear this artist or these artists, who would they be and why?
Oh, I love that. I think one that I'm really digging right now is Jenny, just because of the fact that she's kind of broken out of this K-pop group into her new sound, but she's still bringing that K-pop influence into it here and there. I think it also helps me when I hear this dance pop. It's similar to that Tate McRae thing, right? There's so much dance-heavy influence that you hear it in the track, you hear it in the songwriting, and it's actually influenced a little bit of my upcoming work. But one that I listen to, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's like Kaytranada. Kaytranada, do you know what I'm talking about? The music is just amazing. I mean, it just like fills your soul and bones, and it's a vibe and a beat that I don't think a lot of other people are hitting right now. So I'm really looking forward. I've been listening to that new Leon Thomas song, and I'm really excited to hear more from him and what he's doing. If I had to pick one other, actually, I love going back to old disco and the Four Seasons. Those are my two really off-the-wall ones. I listen to old disco, Les Freak, whatever else. I'm listening. It's great. And then I'm in there like Frankie Valli while I'm washing my hair, Sherry, singing all my old songs. And I think it just brings me back. I don't know.
I think that's awesome. I love the different genre you span that you're listening to that you really enjoy. That's great. This has been a wonderful opportunity to get to know you, Cassandra. Once maybe 6 months from now when you got some more stuff dropping, or if you have an album, we're going to do this again.
Thank
For
you
sure.
so much.
As your career builds. So everybody go out and support her. Like I said, the links will be below. Purchase her music. When she's got shows in your area, go see the shows. And if you live in Rochester, New York, maybe you never know. Maybe she'll plan a performance up there. Binghamton at the least. You just never know. So Cassandra, I thank you so much for spending time with me today and just giving me an opportunity to get to know you and all of the people who are watching. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Scott. This was a pleasure.
Absolutely. We'll do this again soon for sure. And everyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining us and coming back week after week for these great conversations. Please share them with your friends. You know what to do. Help us grow, help Cassandra's career grow, and come back for more. And in the meantime, be good to one another. So till we see each other again, bye for now.